Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Moments. Have you ever felt a moment that isn't loud, isn't dramatic, yet somehow feels the deepest of all? It's not about what is said, but about what is chosen to be done. Today we're going to dive into a clip that feels so calm, so gentle. A day of rest, a quiet kitchen, and two people who understand each other without needing many words. This is not a story about grand gestures. This is a story about love that lives in small, everyday habits. Let's begin. The latest clip has just been released, and from the very first second, it already feels different. Gentle, not a fragile kind of gentleness, but a mature one. Like a soft touch that doesn't startle you, but slowly seeps in, settles, and warms your heart without asking permission. There is no dramatic music guiding your emotions. No explosive reactions. And it is precisely that calmness that makes everything feel so deep, so real, almost impossible to put into words. This is Jungkook's day off. A day that should free him from the small habits he has carried out for so long without ever being asked, including taking care of meals, making sure everyone is fed, making sure everything runs smoothly. Jungkook is the type who nurtures without needing a role assigned to him. He does it because he cares, because that is how he loves. But that day is different. For once, Jimin, in his characteristically gentle way, without raised voices or grand declarations, makes a firm decision. Jungkook does not need to step into the kitchen today. Jimin steps forward, his voice low and calm, almost like a whisper meant for only one person. Today you rest. Let me cook for you. There is no commanding tone, no emphasis. The words flow naturally, as if it were the most obvious decision in the world. And that is exactly where the romance lies. Not a loud love, not affection put on display, but a quiet sincerity, understood only by two people who truly know each other. Jimin wants Jungkook to genuinely rest, and Jungkook allows himself to be taken care of. There is something deeply intimate about that act. For someone who is used to being the support, allowing oneself to lean on another is the highest form of trust. Jungkook doesn't argue. He doesn't insist. He accepts the role with a small smile, with an ease that conveys one thing clearly. He feels safe. As Jimin starts cooking, Jungkook isn't completely still. He stands nearby, teasing with a small smile, light comments that feel more like companionship than interference. Looks a bit bland. Come on, Jimin, I really admire your hard work. The teasing isn't criticism. It's presence. Jungkook's way of staying close without taking over. There's soft laughter. Brief glances filled with meaning. Trust flows effortlessly between them, without needing explanation. This is love that lives in small gestures. Switching roles without being asked. Caring without feeling burdened. Choosing each other's comfort, even in something as simple as who stands in the kitchen that day. And when they realize that it's their last day in Switzerland, everything feels more emotional. As if they know, this time is limited. So they absorb it slowly. No rushing. Not wanting to miss a single second. There is calm. There is softness. There is a warm, home-like energy, something that cannot be fabricated. It feels as though they are storing memories. Of a quiet morning. Of simple food. Of rest that finally becomes real rest. Of togetherness that doesn't need big words to feel meaningful. They aren't telling a story to the world. They are simply living in that moment. One cooks. One rests. And everything is already understood. That calm continues when Jungkook tidies the bed. His movements are neat, almost reflexive, as if the habit is deeply ingrained. But the moment becomes something more when his hands don't stop at his own side of the bed. He tidies Jimin's space too. Adjusts the pillow slightly. Smooths the blanket gently. No grand dialogue. Just small attentions speaking louder than words. Jimin, in a casual tone and with sleep still lingering on his face, shares that he fell asleep while watching a Shinchan short film. The sentence is simple, even a little funny. But Jungkook's reaction is completely honest. His laughter bursts out freely. Unrestrained laughter, not the kind meant for the camera. The laughter of someone who feels entirely at ease, as if the person in front of him isn't a global idol, but home. There's also a moment when they enter the room together. Suddenly, Jimin covers the camera with his shirt. The reason is never explained. And maybe it doesn't need to be. Some things aren't meant to be understood by the outside world. Some spaces belong only to the two people inside them. The silence that follows feels warm, a gentle boundary between what the public may see and what is meant to stay in the heart. Then comes the moment of swimming together. Bright, free, unburdened. In the water, they look so natural. Laughter spills out without calculation. And there, a small detail appears. Jungkook playfully slaps Jimin's backside once, then twice, with a gesture so familiar and teasing. What stands out most isn't the action, but Jungkook's smile afterward. A satisfied smile. The carefree smile. The smile of someone who knows he is in a safe place. And Jimin? He isn't surprised. As if it's simply their own language. A language understood only through habit and closeness. Later, they order a menu item called Crazy in Love. The name lingers in the air. Is it just a random choice? Or is there a faint feeling hidden behind it? There's no answer. And it's precisely that uncertainty that makes it feel real. There's one scene so gentle it could almost be missed. Jimin scraping the very last bit of ramen. He does it carefully, making sure nothing is wasted. And without realizing it, he serves it to Jungkook first, before himself. A small gesture, a big meaning. When Jungkook cooks, Jimin doesn't just stand beside him. He encourages him. He's present, a quiet yet constant emotional support. A dynamic that feels so natural, as if it's been formed over a long time. All these moments, the tidied bed, the laughter over Shinchan, the covered camera, the laughter in the pool, the Crazy in Love menu, the shared last ramen, and the quiet encouragement while cooking, intertwine into one complete story of closeness that doesn't need to be broadcast. This is Jikook in its most honest form. Not about grand gestures, but about small habits, repeated again and again. In the latest OT7 Live, that closeness no longer hides in the corners. It stands right in the middle of the crowd. And what's most touching, there is no hesitation. Until that moment arrives. Jungkook lifts Jimin the way one lifts a baby. Both arms steady, yet full of care. Not to show off. He simply wants Jimin to be clearly seen by the camera. What you feel isn't strength, but gentleness. And Jimin entrusts his body completely. In front of the world, they choose honesty. Yet outside, there are always noisy voices. People who were never there that morning. Who never saw the last ramen being shared. Yet feel the most entitled to judge. But happiness like this doesn't need defense. And perhaps, that is the calmest answer to hatred. To keep walking side by side, as they always have. Because love born from comfort is always stronger than hatred that lives only on assumptions. And maybe, that's why moments like these are so hard to forget. Because they aren't trying to convince anyone. They aren't proving anything to the world. They're simply walking side by side. Sharing the last ramen, soft laughter, comfortable silence. And a trust that is never announced, but always felt. Amid the noise out there, they choose to remain the same. Calm, warm, and becoming home for each other. If you felt the same softness from this moment, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Jikook Moments. So we can continue to keep and celebrate small stories, whose meanings are far greater than they appear. See you in the next moment.